Welcome back to Hard Knot Life Sailing. We're here in Trinidad working on our pilot house hardtop, and now it's time to get it on the ground so we can continue working on it, reinforcing it, bearing, and painting. Thank you for watching, and I hope you find this interesting. Alright, I'm attempting to remove our hardtop to bring it down to the ground here to work on it. I got two pretty heavy straps there tied together underneath, and at the top I tied them together with a long lead going up so they pull up and not together, causing unnecessary strain, and just a whole bunch of half hitches on that end, a midline bowline on the end here to the halyard. I twisted the rope around here a bunch of times, hoping that there's a bowline at the top, but I twisted around a bunch of times, hoping the tension of the weight will keep this from slipping on the strap. Hey Mary, you're standing underneath the floating pilot house. So we got it up in the air right now, got the wires pulled out. It came off nicely. This is how the bolts turn out. This is gonna be very strong. I have no concerns with that. And this will be so much easier to trim all this off, clean it up, and put some glass underneath it when it's on the ground. I'm going to put some extra supporting glass, holding this onto here, the supporting arms onto the top. And for now, I'm going to leave that in the air. I had to have it pulled back to the mizzen to keep it from going forward because it's attached to the halyard. And there you can see how I got that strung up with a big split in the rope. So it balances it, tied together at the bottom so they can't slip out. I think it's pretty secure. Just got to find a nice long rope. We got to pull it way back this way to get it away from the mast. So we basically have to pull it on an angle directly away from the mast and away from the tree. So I'm gonna go search for a rope right now. After our first failed attempt at lowering it with just the two of us, our friend Kenny on SV Loon came to help because pulling the hardtop away from Knot Life took a bit more pulling, so we used two long ropes to get leverage as Mary lowered it down from the boat. Now that we got her on the ground, I exchanged my big grinder for somebody's small grinder. I need something a little more maneuverable. Mine was just too industrial sized. And I got lots of cleaning up to do on this. Taking off all the excess, smoothing things over before we do filling and fairing and reinforcing. So I'm going to be laminating the bottom of this now. This is the weakest point. This was going to be attaching to the boat, but this is still just PVC. There's no glass on it, and this was exposed foam on the bottom, even though it's a very high density foam. I'm going to be glassing all this in just with a little reveal wrapping around. That way everything's tied together and everything has glass on it. I'm now adding a wax additive to a batch that I was able to find here. They call it tack-free in Trinidad. This one mixed with resin flows to the surface when curing to help resin get hard enough to sand by blocking the air. Alright, that was definitely a difficult layer. First went on really well and stuck to the edges. As soon as I started wetting out the top, it just lifted straight up. I didn't plan on using PO ply. Luckily I had enough cut already. And I wasn't planning on using the cellophane, but luckily that was handy because I needed it both. I'm sure there's going to be some bubbles here I'm going to have to grind out, but I'm working in direct sun. It's about maybe 35, 37 degrees today. So it's kicking too fast. Can't do anything about it, so we're just going to see how this turns out. In a couple hours here I can probably unwrap this. While this glass up here is drying, I'm going to be working on my reinforcing here. So I'm using the same biaxial. It's got matte on the bottom and 2 different grains of like linear glass here. So I'm going to be building this up to take any kind of basically like putting a cross member. I'm building up this corner here to give a twisting strength to this. So this is my first layup, and then I'm going to be bringing these down like that, like layers like that, so this corner here will be really built up and spreading the load out from the supports to the ceiling to take the twisting force of this. So if we get hit with a very strong side wind, the whole structure won't twist very much. My battery here is dead on the GoPro. I have to keep it plugged in from now on. All 3 of our batteries swelled up and died one by one. So can only go where the cord can go now. Okay, I'm just about ready here to start glassing this. You can see I did a succession of sizes here, going back to, like, I'm just calling this the left side 1, which goes the whole length, and then 2 comes to here, and then 3 goes from here to here. That way this tapers up, this tapers down, and the middle is going to be very, very strong. Overall there'll be 6 layers of 18-ounce glass in the middle, plus what I already did when I built this in the first place. I had at least, I think, 2 layers of 18-ounce glass. So it's going to be a total of 8 layers in this corner, and that should take any kind of flexibility out of this arm. So if we ever get hit by a rogue wave or gale force winds from the side, this should live to tell about it. So I'm going to get mixing up some resin here, get some gloves on, and start. Alright, really loud here. There's both sides done. You can see the succession. It gets thicker and thicker, building up a strong corner. Got that done on both sides. Gonna remove this cover on the top, this peel ply, and start some fairing. Did some fairing yesterday, but the camera was dying, so I don't know how much turned out, but got the front side, one layer on there. Fairing is not my specialty, so it's a real trial and error. I'm not worried about getting into these corners because I'm going to be making window frames that are going to be covering these, like going up to these corners anyways. So that'll have to be refilled again. So I'm really not worried about getting into that corner yet because I'll just have to do it over again when I do the window frames. So I'm going to continue on here. These, we'll call them corner brackets, have cured. They're very solid. There's no air pockets. Maybe some tiny little ones in the corner. Other than that, they're super solid. When I fair this, I'm going to make this an obvious line. Well, you're going to see that that's there. I don't want to fair this all the way out, spreading it. I don't want to add that much weight to this for no reason. So I'm just going to lay up a straight line across here and have it as an obvious bracket for structural reasons. I washed the inside of this now and I'm going to start fairing the inside. Okay, a very quick update. I got a fairing compound over most surfaces. I didn't do the inside here yet. I'm going to do that after I sand everything so it's not so chunky. And one thing I missed, some of you may have picked up on it, is a strip here for the glass to sit on. So I accounted for this being thicker so that the glass would run into it, but I didn't account for something for the glass to rest upon. So I just installed this now. I just did the other one on the other side. It's already cured. That way the glass will come across here and have something to rest against, and this will be basically the trim for it. That's that. I'm gonna let this harden up and come back this afternoon and start doing some sanding. I'm gonna take a little break today. That's it for now. We'll get sanding this soon. Hello everyone. So I'm continuing on sanding here. It's been sanding. My sand pads on the sander, the Velcro side of the sander, they're both gone bad. I don't know why. It did not last very long. It's actually a new pad on my smaller orbital sander I've just brought back from Canada, and it's already, the paper's not sticking to it. I don't know why. I've always had paper on it. I probably bought a generic brand, but I thought I was buying an actual Makita. Got on Amazon. It's not sticking. But what I found is working for me is with this large, this is what I use for polishing the boat, which you could, it's also Velcro pad, you can get sandpaper for it. This seems to be working a lot better. My guess is because it does random orbit and spin, but because it spins faster than the orbiting, it seems to throw this dust away faster so that the dust isn't overheating and getting stuck to the pad and gumming it up. When I use the smaller sanders, they seem to gum up really fast. But this seems to be working a bit better. Unfortunately, these are all the pads I've got, and it's the holidays now. Got maybe 6 pads there, plus the one that's on it. Hopefully that'll last me a while because, yeah, it's the holidays. Everything's closed down basically for 2 weeks. So I'm hoping some stores will open up between Christmas and New Year's. Give you a sense of time frame here. We're only a couple weeks behind from uploading, or from filming to uploading. It does take time to do all the editing, so that's about as up to date as we can be. This coat does have the wax added to it, which is helping. It's not perfect, it still gums up, but it is sanding better. Thank you to the viewer who commented about that. And I'm not going to show a ton of sanding because it is probably more boring for you to watch than for me to do, but this is a sense of what I've been doing here. to repair this contour here, I just put some tape on some stir sticks with a clamp to keep the shape, so I'm not doing a ton of sanding. I'm just gonna spread in some filler there and then shape it later. And these, if you recall, are the added pieces I put so that the glass has somewhere to rest on. Just gonna mix up some resin now and get started on that. Thank you so much for watching. We really hope you enjoyed this video and learned something new from it. Don't forget to like and consider subscribing to see the final steps of this big project. We upload every Sunday, so see you next week.